Diandre is a Brooklyn-based up-and-coming singer and songwriter. I've had the opportunity to listen to a few tracks off of a new project that she's working on, and I'm really feeling her vibey, laid-back style and sound. Let's go talk to her. I've always been curious about the creative process. I mean, what's that cosmic itch that absolutely must be scratched? And maybe even more than that, once they've started on that creative journey, what's the thing that helps someone take a project from the beginning to the finish? In this series, I'll be talking to industry professionals about their process, and I'll be asking them questions like, what's the best place to start? The best kind of equipment to use? What exactly does that button do? My name is Watson, and this is Making Noise.
Hey.
What's up? Hey. Hey. Now, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
First of all, where you from?
I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in East Flatbush.
East Flatbush, right on. What was music like growing up for you? Was there music in the house?
Yeah, music was in the house. My dad used to DJ here and there at places. Okay. So he's from St. Vincent, so I hear a lot of soca music. My mother's Jamaican. She's playing a lot of reggae, dancehall, what she grew up listening to. Yeah. And in general, just Brooklyn in general is just this diverse boiling pot of Caribbean people. So everywhere you go, Labor Day, you hear people bumping soca in their car. So that's what I grew up listening to. And then I delved into a lot of punk rock, actually, popular punk rock like Avril Lavigne. Green Day and them. And then later on, as I grew up, I got into hip hop. So that's something that came on later, but mostly like Caribbean music.
Okay, so how did hip hop come in? Was that through school or
through
friends?
School. Through school, through the radio. Yeah, there's just been that shift of popular music to hip hop.
Yeah, that's true. Like, hip hop is pop music.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So, when you're a kid, when you're growing up, hearing all this music in your neighborhood, are you thinking that you want to be a musician at this time, a singer? No?
No. Okay. I was just someone who's like, oh, I want to be an author or astronaut, something along those lines. But music as a career for me did not come until later on.
Okay, and when was that moment where you're thinking you wanted
that
to
moment, it was when at school. Okay. At school, I went to a charter school in Bed-Stuy called Uncommon Collegiate, and there wasn't much extracurricular activities that surrounded around music. Okay. So I started this club called Uncommon Notes, and I ended up going back to teach after high school. So I taught a music class there as well, and to answer your question, they had this program in the 11th grade there called 𝔸𝔻𝕆ℝ𝔸𝕄𝔸, and it allowed me to go perform this piece that I wrote, which was like a remix of Rihanna's song from the Anti album. And from there, I seen how people reacted to that, and I decided I should continue with that, continue with music and actually pursue it on a professional scale.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
So leading up to that point, what were you doing musically or playing with in your mind of to say, like, let me even try for this contest? Were you writing songs yourself anyway? Were you kind of singing to yourself, writing lyrics? Like, what inspired you to say, okay, there's this contest, let me throw my hat in the ring?
Right. I've always wanted to do something musically in a way, but not necessarily, I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I loved music. I always had that love for music. But when I did that, beforehand, I was just writing music in my room. Just doing that, showing my close friends, showing the people in the club that I had, like, oh, I wrote this and put it together. And this was the perfect moment for me to show it to everybody, see the reaction, and gave me that energy boost.
That's what's up. So, okay, you do this you write this song, you do this performance, and now you're like, all right, this is something that I really want to do. Yeah. What's the next step that you took to pursue it?
Pursue music. So, in the beginning, I started just listening to a lot of music, keep adding on to that, but now with the intention of mine of how can I add to the conversation? How can I pave my own path? But I also wanted to learn what was already out there, because obviously they're doing something right. If they're already, they have all these fans. So I had to listen to every genre of music, listen, be a student during that time. And then I started off with YouTube beats in the beginning. And I started just writing to that. And over time, I met these guys at SubDecibel, and they became the producer for me. And they started to develop me as an artist and help push my songwriting into more of a focus.
Yeah.
Because I like to go different ways with it. But yeah.
To actually hone it in.
Exactly.
Well, how did you meet the guys at SubDecibel?
I came to do background vocals for a rapper called 𝔸𝔻𝕆ℝ𝔸𝕄𝔸.
Okay.
And from there, that's how we connected. I had brought a friend with me named Isaiah. He started interning here. He was like, hey, do you know any songwriters? And I was one of them.
Yeah.
And so I came here, and from there we made this song called Regret. And after Regret, it's just been a continuous relationship of us making music and collaborating in that way.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been writing for a few years now.
Yeah.
And so now you're in this setting where you're really going for it. You're working on a project now. How do you approach the songwriting process at this point?
I come in with no intentions, and Dorian would start either making a beat, or they have a beat already made, or we come in and we jam out, but there's no structure to it.
Okay.
It's kind of like what the day brings us. I feel like routine could sometimes breed the same results.
Sure.
And with music, you kind of don't want to do that too much. Always add flavor to it. So when I come in, there's no structure, but I just know when I come in, like, okay, what do I want to focus on? How am I feeling? Those are the questions we ask ourselves. What vibe do we want to go for?
Okay.
You know, what's the message today? Because that's literally the only thing we think about, is just we just ask those questions and then see where our heart takes us from there.
That's cool. So when you're actually working on something, let's say, all right, you're in the studio, a vibe has been set. What's your process in terms of actually writing lyrics? Do you like to be alone? Do you like to sit and listen to it over and over and go? Like, what's your headspace like?
Usually I like to sit and listen to it over and over again. I like to, when I hear the beat, sing along, but in gibberish.
Got you.
Just capture the melodies.
Yeah.
I find the melodies that you think of upon first instinct of hearing a beat is the most natural melody for the song. So I would probably sit out there and and do stuff like that. And then if a lyric comes to mind, it will breed like me keep writing and keep expanding on that idea.
Okay.
So that's usually how it starts out for me. That's the process.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. So when you're doing that and you're sort of humming or singing gibberish to yourself, are you also kind of recording that just in case you...
Yeah, mentally, or I'll actually go in the booth and actually record me doing those things, and we'll pick apart melodies that work and I'll fill them in. But that's also just sometimes. Sometimes I write a whole song at home on the guitar, come to the studio, and they'll hone it out, flesh it out into like a brighter song.
Got you.
You know, yeah. So it really just depends, to be honest.
So, okay, so you're at this point now where you got a vibe, you're starting to write lyrics, got a melody, all right, let's get this thing going. So how do you take it from there to a completed song? What kind of things are you doing to shape it? Are you helping out with the arrangement as well? Is it just more of a, you're in here to write the lyrics and you let the producers do the rest? How do you work on that?
One thing I like about working with Dorian and 𝔸𝔻𝕆ℝ𝔸𝕝 is that it's really free flowing. It's not necessarily, oh, I'm the producer, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm the songwriter, or, you know, we help out where we can. So they see fit where I could do something in a song, I'll take it. If I see fit and where I think they could add this to the production, they'll take it. But it's not really about the role, it's about what can we do to make this the best song? You know, so sometimes I'll be like, yo, I think this would be done. I think this would be good to have like great drums, you know, African style drums to it, and they'll be like, okay, cool, let's see if we can work with that.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's cool. So then you guys have a nice relationship where you're able to just be open with each other.
Exactly.
Let's try this and give it a shot.
Yeah.
So do you have, all right, once you've got the song figured out and you're like, all right, let's record these vocals so we can capture it. Are there certain exercises that you do to prepare your voice? Or do you feel like you can just go in there and get it?
I would just beforehand, as I'm writing the song, because usually there's no song written beforehand. Sometimes there is, but usually there isn't. Me going through and humming and singing and doing all of that is kind of my vocal warm-up before I go into the booth and actually sing.
So you're already just
just really free-flowing, supernatural,
What would you say is, I can understand that different projects take a different amount of time, but is there like an average amount of time that it's taking you to
write a song?
Yeah.
I would say on a good like run of time, because sometimes everybody goes through writer's block. But when I'm over that, it probably takes me anywhere from an hour to 3 hours to write a song.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the writer's block thing for a second, because I'm sure like a lot of creatives in any field, you hit those blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what are some ways that you maybe get yourself out of those blocks? Do you step away from it? Do you push through? Do you do different types of things to get yourself back into the groove?
Right, a bit of everything. But I find now it's just experience. You got to go out and experience things in order for you to say something. You know, so sometimes stepping away, going on a trip, doing something you never done before, being outside of your element is a perfect way for you to say something. You know what I mean? And discover yourself at the you know, discover yourself in that moment as well. So just like this pandemic, this has been a perfect time for me to write music, because it allowed me to be by myself, you know, and I'm discovering so much about myself, because we're not on the go no more. You know, we have to be at home.
Okay. So you sit in those moments, are you a journaler, or do you have specific times? Let me sit down and just get this out. Do you wake up in the morning and write right before you go to bed? How do you approach just writing in general? I try and write every single day, but I try not to make anything too forceful. Okay. I don't want music to ever feel like a chore to me. Because that would change everything. So I would just take my phone out. That's my main way. It's the easiest way. I always have my phone on me. And I would open notes and write at least 4 lines every day, even if it's not a song. It could just be a poem in that moment. I write 4 lines. I'll come back to the studio, search through all the notes that I have, and be like, oh, I like these 4 lines that I wrote last Tuesday. Let's see if I can expand this idea. Let me see if I can expand this into a song. Nice. And that's how that works for me. That's cool. Yeah. So let me ask you this. I imagine in those moments when you're trying to figure out melodies and whatnot, and you start to kind of sing the gibberish part that you were talking about earlier. Does that also bring to mind, like, wait, I wrote that thing, maybe that'll fit, maybe I can make those words fit into that melody?
Yeah.
Do you do that as well?
Yeah, puzzling things together. That's exactly what I do. Just trying to, I like things really abstract. I love experimenting with the structure of music. I love experimenting with the ways I write music. I don't necessarily think of anything that I write as good or bad. It's just what it is. And over time, I'll see where it goes. But, you know, to breed something totally new, you have to do something different. You know, so piecing together is definitely one of my ways of writing songs. Just piecing together different stuff that I wrote from notes from 6 months ago to current notes that I wrote today.
Right on. Yeah. That's what's up. So what are some things that you've learned so far in this process?
Can't rush it. You can't rush anything. You have to be a student. You know, you can't go into this thing expecting to know everything, because you'll flop, you know? Everything's a journey. And if it's quick, it's probably not gonna last long. So for me, that's the main thing that I've learned. Don't rush anything. You're human, you know, let this be music be a part of you in a way that it's not just about the business aspects of things, you know?
I know you're still making your career and figuring out where you want to go. But what kind of advice would you give to someone in your position that has an opportunity to start to make music?
Whatever you want to do it as much as possible. That's the only way you could get better, is through practice. And filtering out all the crap, I should say. So even if you write every day and it's not the best song, you've been writing for 2 months and you haven't written anything that you think is good, you're still on the right path, because eventually you just need one song to be out there, you know what I mean? So eventually you'll find that. But you're gonna have these bad ideas, but you gotta get them out in order to reach the good one. But that'll be my advice, just keep practicing. Don't give up. If you believe in it, hone in on it, you know?
I love that. And so, as we're in this pandemic, hopefully we're getting out of this very soon. But what's something that you're looking forward to in terms of the music, that as things are opening, you're releasing your project, maybe it's time to start touring and performing. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to getting into?
I'm looking forward to performing. I haven't performed in a long time, but I'm looking forward to putting out this piece of music, because we've been working on it for like 2 years, about to be 2 years, and it'll be nice to hear the new version.
Yeah.
To see other people react to the new version of myself.
Yeah.
And not the music that I put out 2 years ago or 3 years ago. There's a whole nother Diandre to show to the world. As I grow, the music grew as well. So I'm just excited for other people to react to it and see how that impacts their life, or if it did impact their life, what did they get from it? You know what I mean? Just to have that conversation.
Yeah, that feedback from the audience. I will say I have heard it and it's really good.
Thank you.
But well, do you have a timeline at the moment of when you're hoping to get it out?
Hopefully next year. Hopefully next year, but as I said before, no rush. I'm just trying to make the best piece I can make.
I know.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to wrap up here, but one question before we go. Are there any songwriters that you like, or even authors, or just writers in general that you like or look to for inspiration?
Sampler, BB Borelli, Brent Fayez, Amalu, a lot of like people who are on the rise at this moment.
Yeah.
I love artists who are just like super gritty in the voice, because it's natural.
Yeah.
You know, and people who talk to you like we're having a conversation, or super vulnerable with their music and vulnerable with themselves in the music, able to put themselves out in that way. And I feel like that's what all those artists have in common to me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to the project coming out.
Yes, thank you.
See you soon. And that's today's show. I'd like to thank Diandre for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about her and her music, please check out the links in the description box below. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. I appreciate you watching. My name is Watson. We'll see you next time. Peace.